see how we were doing, or, you know, and in the end, I thought it was very valuable, not from the point of view of, well, somebody did it better than us, but it kind of gave a contrast of how we were running our business versus other communities. And it came off very bad internally.
Would you say?
Very, very bad internally. Because everybody was on the defensive, and they missed the point of, you know, why it was done. It was done to raise some questions more than anything else. Kind of maybe what you're trying to get at, but it was targeted for a reason. And at this point, I can't see that we justify doing what you're doing, or requesting. I just don't think it's needed, and I don't think right now it's even affordable at this point. You know, based on what I know about our revenue plan, we haven't got to that point. You know, we've been looking at the budget, what people need, so that we have an idea of what they're thinking about, what's important. But, you know, and Greg has been doing some adjustment associated with, he knows what the revenue is, but I still don't think we're at a balanced budget yet. So I'm not anxious to run off and spend money on what you're suggesting at this point. And I don't really think it's necessary. So that's why I'm looking with a little bit of a frown here.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to reference the benchmark study that we did, which was somewhat similar, I think, to what you're talking about here. We were doing comparing, contrasting, and how we organize and how are we delivering our level of services, the services that we deliver, how are we doing with it in comparison to other communities, or is a different way of doing it, you know. And as Bob said, you know, it did accomplish something, and it did give us some information, but as Bob pointed out, it wasn't received very well internally, and because everybody just put up the barriers and thought somebody was on a witch hunt, which wasn't the case at all. And a few years back, we had what was his name, Earl Sweeney there, who did the evaluation of the police department. Yeah, and I actually opposed it at the time because I didn't think it was necessary, but you know, that was okay. They went through the whole exercise, but that was all brought about because of a certain set of circumstances that came about that the majority of the board felt it was necessary to take a look at the operations of that one department. You know, as far as, I mean, if you're talking about an audit of a department in a transitional time period,
Yeah,
I mean, I thought that's where you were going a couple of months ago.
yeah,
But
in
this
a
is
sense,
far more,
well, yeah, because
the breadth of this is.
The more I read, the more, you know, you read something, it just takes you to a path. I think that you know, you a lot of communities use the opportunity of a transition scenario to do an overall organization review, and it's done extensively. As I said, this was only 37, and I'd even touched. It seemed like I didn't even touch the tip of the iceberg. So that's not a foreign. The benchmark study was kind of I mean, that was all encompassing. It covered every department in the whole town, and everybody did get defensive, and everybody did stand their ground. And I was part of the process as a citizen, so I understand that concern. But when you start looking specifically on a departmental basis or department basis, you can focus on certain issues. They're part of the process. A big problem with the benchmark is the big complaint was they may have spoken to us, but they certainly didn't hear us, and that was a big issue back then. But it's also important, and I'm trying to be proactive, and we're doing it with the strategic plan. We're being proactive there, and perhaps maybe you can move this into that category. But I think that it's important for us to be a proactive Board of Selectmen in being able to say, okay, all right, if we can't do it this year, let's set a goal. We're going to have, you know, every 10 years, we're gonna have a review, or every time we have a transition, we're going to have a review, all right? This will help us manage the town. It also creates consistency that, you know, your citizens appreciate that. They appreciate knowing that every so often, we're gonna have a check and we're gonna have a balance. And the
And
community.
if you want to incorporate it in an annual, in an annual audit at a,
Not an annual, no.
no,
10
no, no,
years.
no, what I'm saying is, you know, in the annual audit, if you want to increase it or enhance the scope to target specific, so that each department head knows that, you know, every fifth year, someone's gonna come and scrutinize their budget or scrutinize their operations or something like that, so that it becomes part of a routine as opposed to something that's targeted for a specific reason. You know, maybe you could talk about something like that.
And I'm not thinking about every department here. I mean,
No.
I mentioned the big ones.
Right, other big,
Those
that's
are
where
the
you would
important
start.
ones. So,
But,
so it's for a positive reason, not a negative reason. And I think that needs to be understood as well.
No, you're right, because generally, when these reviews are undertaken, it's because there's some suspicion of something needs
Right.
to be looked at.
You can cut that path. You can prevent that from happening, eliminate that suspicion, and then if you wait till something happens, then it's all bad news. You know, because then everyone has to be defensive. It's better to be proactive, knowing that you're going to have it anyway. So, and excuse me, but I'm losing my voice. Dry mouth.
Sean?
I could not disagree with you more. I think this would be the worst time to do such a thing. We're having transition because we have 2 retirements. We're not having transition in public safety because there was an issue with the former administration. I think that's what you found, why Middlesex Sheriff's Department may have done something what you speak of. But in these 2 departments, I have no issues. Presentations we heard from both Chief Murphy and Acting Chief Warnock on Saturday satisfied me tremendously that we have great leadership there, great thought process, great ideas. I don't see the need. Putting aside the cost for a moment, I don't see the need. I think if there was some issue that developed, that we'd have to take a look and investigate, yeah, maybe. But at this time, I think you have a chief and an acting chief down there who have the respect for their department. And I think if you interject a third person at this point in time, or some sort of review committee down there, probably the worst thing for the culture in either department down there. So I couldn't support the idea.
No, sir.
Well, to answer the question of, I see nothing wrong, that's not the time to do it. That's always the worst time to do it, to wait for something to happen in order to deal with it. There are things that go on, and I don't pretend to know what they are, all right? And there are things that, because we're not firemen, because we're not policemen, because we don't run a DPW department, because we don't do those things, all right? There are things that selectmen are not in a position to have the great appreciation of what's before them all the time. We're all intelligent people, I understand that, and we all have certain abilities, all right? But we're individuals, and by having a third party look and add to the thought process and to the solutions, it can only be but helpful, in my estimation, okay? So, you know, I passed this into your hands, that's my idea, so I passed it into your hands, so it's really your decision. I would go for something like this, and so I'd be one of 4, so I pass it into your hands.
Well, my sense, Jeff, after this is that the majority of the board is not interested in pursuing this, and I'd like to move on to late.
Yeah, you can move on.
Town administrator's
Hi. Please refer to the gold copy. I'll move through this kind of quickly. The first is just acknowledgement of a lawsuit that we have received. It's a suit that's filed by Linda and William Smith. They're seeking to overturn a decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals which denied a pre-existing non-conforming use of the premises located at 230 Elm Street. And as standard practice, the lawsuit has been forwarded on to our town council for response and defense. Next is an update of the discussions with the town of Andover on the intermunicipal water agreement. We had a meeting last week, which was attended with both town councils, and I thought it was positive and it went well. We, at this point, will not be having further face-to-face meetings. There's a couple of things which are follow-up tasks that need to be addressed, and I've listed those out here. I think we're very close in terms of getting this issue resolved. And I'm hopeful that we can get that done and get it before the board in the not-too-distant future. I think it's coming up pretty quickly. Any questions or comments about that?
Yeah, I could add a little bit more on the water, and I'll be as brief as I can. The big issue from this board was the rate, and right now we have, we're working, they have allowed us to write up the rate paragraph for the contract to fit what I told them would be I think what the board would sign off on. And right now it's with town council.
It is.
And I've shared with him your views from the last meeting and what that would look like. They are going to transition into a tiered rate someday. We really tried our best to just get this 5-year contract done right now and deal with the tiered rate in the next 5-year contract. But they were a little reluctant to do the 5th year that way. So I feel pretty comfortable that the first 4 years of this contract will be without, but we'll probably have to transition into something like that. But I think we're gonna be able to do it and try to keep it as close to this residential rate that we're in now. I really feel confident that we're gonna be able to pull that off. And the other issue is, we have a little problem in regards with the DEP, because they've come back and said that the maximum amount of water the town can take is 1.5 gallons. 1.5 million gallons. And we are looking for that 1.568.
Right.
And so that kind of changes things a little bit for us. But the good thing is, the increase that we're looking for, it falls into what they called what would they call it, Greg, if you can remember off the top of your head? It's basically, because we're asking for such a small amount, we'll probably need about 90 days to get approval to increase our amount, but it's a short process. And my request to Dick Cannavale is, go to the maximum that we can get to stay under a 90-day review approval to get our gallons increased. Now, Andover can only provide us 1.7 million gallons.
Correct, that's the maximum.
1.768.
That's what
is
they
the
can
max
fit through
they
their
can give
pipes.
us. So that's what we're gonna try to go in for, a request. So in the meantime, we're gonna have to probably sign this agreement with only 1.5, and we will not be able to exceed the 1.5. Even so, we get into a drought environment, we're gonna have to actually watch it closer than we had to before, because we had 680,000 gallons of water that we used to be able to have access to. We will not have until we get this quick review done through the DP. And again, our hope is
we were able to draw more under the old agreement,
yes,
and it's because of DEP's intercession, not Andover's unwillingness.
that's right. That's correct. Matter of fact, we were probably doing it we were probably improperly exceeding the amount that we were allowed by the DEP.
Is this the average number over the period?
Gallons
Yes.
daily. Yeah, gallons.
It was, the way it's worded in the contract, it says 1.568 upon request.
Yeah.
There were times where the town drew more than that amount.
Right. And so under our new agreement, we had written it as, we want a daily average of 1.568. And they were in agreement.
And they were in agreement with it.
So in January, when we're not using a lot, we could get credit for August.
But we're gonna
Yeah.
go, but we're gonna
so
exactly
go
what
out
we're
right
hoping
now and do this request and get it done. And again, my hope is that we'll actually get to go to the 1.768. Even though we may never use that much, but we may as well get the request if we stay under that limit
Mike?
on the DEP, yes, sir.
Well, there's
Yes.
two kinds of limits. One is a daily amount,
And that's what we're talking about.
or an average daily amount. What are
Dail-
we talking
dail-
about?
the
I'm
daily
trying to
amount.
understand.
The daily amount. We
Daily.
cannot, right,
Average daily amount.
Now, daily amount.
daily
Daily
amount,
amount.
daily amount.
It got
It
changed,
got changed,
not because of Andover, though,
not because of Andover, right?
because of the,
That makes no sense at all.
Oh, well,
we're trying to, as
No, I
Michael
mean, it
said.
doesn't make any sense that the DEP would say that.
It's
Typically, they do on
language that
average, don't they?
existed
actually-
for years.
That's, they didn't come up and just